Here are some mistakes that slip through editing in Peppa Pig. Even the most successful shows are bound to have errors, and Peppa Pig is no exception. We found some hilarious mistakes, like in the episode Science Museum. Peppa and her friends visit the Science Museum, and if you look at Miss Rabbit, there's a photo frame behind her. But moments later, when the scene zooms in on her, poof, the photo frame disappears. Secondly, later in the episode, we see Grampy Rabbit performing a science experiment.
Now it's time for some dangerous science. Don't be alarmed. There is a responsible adult in charge. Me.
We see him mixing two different chemicals and putting the flask on the shelf behind them. But only frames later, as the whole gang moves forward, the chemical flask just disappears. Was it a magical potion? Or did the animators just forget about it? Guess we'll never know.
But today, we're going to visit the Science Museum. Here, you can touch everything.
Yay! Buttons to press. Wow!
In the beginning of the episode Painting, the paint supplies are visible on the table, but they are gone in the following frame. Later on, Daddy Pig hands the newspaper to George and Peppa, and George laughs, but his lips remain still.
All right.
Hooray! Now we can start painting.
Not just that, the back of George's hands are clean when he first places them on the paper, but a few seconds later, they're covered in paint. And in a scene where Peppa is stamping her handprint with paint on a canvas, take a careful look at the positioning of the whole thing. And just frames later, as the scene zooms out, the drawing has changed places.
Peppa loves painting with her hands.
Very good.
Lastly, the easel collapses while the ducks are running close to it. But when Mommy Pig declares the painting to be flawless, the easel is secured as she places the painting on it. Seriously, the animators must have been really tired during this episode. The number of mistakes is crazy.
It's perfect.
Hooray!
Oh, yes. I am a bit of an expert at painting.
And so are the ducks.
In episode Granny and Grandpa's Attic, Peppa and George go to their grandparents' house to tidy up the attic. Here, the animators made a few interesting errors that might have slipped by unnoticed by casual viewers. When Peppa says again, her line was reused from season 1, voiced by Lily Snowden, creating a subtle throwback that only a few fans would catch. Then, while Peppa, George, and Grandpa Pig are climbing up from the attic, the ceiling light lowers to the height of the second floor. But as they go up again, it's mysteriously shifted closer to the roof. Oddly enough, when Mummy Pig arrives, the light moves right back to its original height by the second floor. And finally, a doorbell appears on Granny and Grandpa Pig's entrance by the time Mummy Pig drives over to pick up Peppa and George, even though it was missing at the start of the episode.
What's the attic?
It's where we keep all our old things.
Like you, Grandpa Pig.
Ha ha!
In the Captain Daddy Pig episode, there are a few blink and you'll miss it mistakes. The Peppa family goes out on the river on Grandpa Pig's boat.
I've just had it painted.
Oh, Grandpa Pig, what an old fusspot you are.
Are my crew ready?
At the start, the pole on the boat is completely empty, but just moments later, a bell has appeared on it out of nowhere. When the ducks show up, Peppa and George suddenly have bread in their hands, even though they were just holding sandwiches just before. And in a scene where they are standing on top, cruising through, look at where Daddy Pig is standing. Pretty normal, right? The mistake is, frames later, a hatch suddenly appears out of thin air where Daddy Pig is standing.
The Daddy!
Stop the engine!
What's he saying?
Stop the engine!
Daddy says...
In the episode Bedtime, we get the normal starting scene with the Peppa family's house and a bright sun right next to it. But as we zoom into the family through the window, now we see the sun directly behind them. I don't think the sun moves like that or that fast. Also, at the dinner table, everyone's plate is full but George's. But then, when Daddy Pig says he's tired, suddenly, we see that now Peppa's plate is empty too. Did Peppa just swallow all of her food quickly, or did the animators just forget to draw it? In the At the Beach episode, There are a few odd moments that fans might notice. The narrator mentions that George is too little to catch the ball.
George, catch!
Oh dear, George is too little to catch the ball.
Even though in the episode, Piggy in the middle, George learns how to catch just fine. While the family is playing in the ocean, you can hear George laughing, but his mouth says completely still. Quite the skill for the little guy. And lastly, when Peppa and George jump onto Daddy Pig, the frame rate suddenly drops to 15 FPS, making the animation look a bit choppy. Speaking of the episode My Birthday Party, there are a few details that seem off if you pay close attention. In the living room, the balloons float freely in the air without any strings holding them down, something that wouldn't be possible in real life. Then, during Daddy Pig's magic trick, Susie Sheep stands up to help him, and Teddy is initially sitting right in front of Peppa. When the camera zooms out as Daddy Pig reveals the red ball, Teddy has mysteriously moved to Peppa's side. Just moments later, as Peppa says silly magic daddy, Teddy is back right in front of her without any indication that Peppa moved him.
What's your name?
Meh, Susie Sheep.
Okay, Susie, here are 3 balls. A red one, a blue one, and a yellow one.
Okay.
You have to secretly choose one while my back is turned.
In the episode Daddy's Movie Camera, some small details mysteriously shift throughout the episode. A wire is visible at the bottom of the TV, but during close-up shots, it disappears, only to reappear once the shot zooms out again. Similarly, the fishbowl on top of the TV vanishes during close-ups and then returns when the camera pulls back. And if you look closely, the camera instructions in the episode have a few issues too, as they imply that the camera needs to be plugged in, even though it isn't plug operated.
I'm Peppa.
Thank you for purchasing the movie 3000. I am eager and ready to shoot your first movie.
Is there a way to turn that voice off?
In the start of the episode Bubbles, Daddy Pig and Mommy Pig each have a glass on the table. But right after Peppa starts noticing bubbles in their juice, the glasses disappear entirely. Then, as the bucket full of bubble mix gets flung into the air, you'd expect the mixture to spill out long before landing on Daddy Pig's head. But somehow, it stays put until the very end. In the episode Emily Elephant, we found a bunch of errors. Towards the episode's end, Emily doesn't actually name all the children present, but everyone laughs and acts as if she had. Interestingly enough, her future best friend, Candy Cat, is the one left unnamed.
Emily, who do you like best? I like Susie and Danny and Zoe and Rebecca and Pedro and Peppa.
Additionally, the block colors and number change between when Emily first chooses them and when the other kids show her how to play with them. They even revert to the original 5 colors and count after Emily stacks them. And that's not all. There are some other minor inconsistencies as well. At the beginning, the children sit near the clock, but when Madame Gazelle asks what Emily would like to do, 3 tables are seen by the clock without the kids. Later on, when it's time to play outside, Madame Gazelle instructs the children to show Emily their play area. But Susie Sheep is missing as they walk out. So, those are some of the funniest mistakes we've found in Peppa Pig. It's always fun to spot these little goofs, and they just make us love the show even more. If you found these mistakes fun, make sure to check out our other videos where we pointed out even more hilarious errors we found in Peppa Pig. And as always, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.